Welcome back. I'm your host, Wayne Johnson of The Wayne Johnson Show. And so uh, I'm your host, and the show, in this show, we'll begin to dive into some of the topics that you care about the most. Each episode, we will bring you a mixture of thought provoking interviews with some of the brightest minds in the industry. Whether you're looking to learn something new, gain a different perspective, or just be entertained, you come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right into our interview. So, Princess Miller, one of the greatest teachers that I have come across. 15 years ago, you introduced me to multimedia television. And so it's been a great blessing to have you on the set today. And so, with no further ado, we have a little short commercial about you and about what you are doing and all the things you brought to the forefront to help people from around the world. So, sit back and enjoy this commercial.
Princess Creative Productions is a full-service creative agency. Our award-winning director-producer work has been featured on Comcast, Mediacom, Charter Cable, and CNN. We can take your vision from concept to TV or have your commercial featured on top social media and streaming platforms. Need a commercial or video for your business? Contact Princess Creative Productions today at 251-378-8044 or visit us online at princesscreativeproductions.com.
Welcome back. Sister Princess is here, Princess Miller. So, Sister Princess, it's a great opportunity to have you on the set today. Can you introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about you and about your business?
Okay, awesome. First off, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to promote Princess Creative Productions. Um, what I do is I offer video productions, graphic design, photography, websites, social media marketing, as well as marketing to help clients take their business to the next level. So I'm super excited to be here today and thank you again for the opportunity.
Wow. It's my pleasure because why? You know, uh, so 15 years ago, when I was just getting started in my TV ministry, we had a storefront church, and I was at MediaCom trying to run some commercials through a friend of mine's, and I was introduced to you by I think one of your managers at MediaCom years ago, and he gave me your number, and I called you, and like you said, it's been 15 years ago, and so here we are today, and so if you come to be one of the I guess one of the leaders in the industry in this Mobile, Pensacola area. And so, welcome to the show. Why did you decide to go into media? What was your heartthrob, and how long have you been in business? And can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So, how I got started was when I was getting ready to go to college, I was praying, asking the Lord about what it is that He wanted me to do. And I thought my desire was to go into psychology. I was going to be a psychologist. And I remember one day I was talking to my first lady, and she, out of her mouth, said broadcast journalism. And when she said that, it was like a light bulb that came on. And so I ended up going to school for broadcast journalism. When I was a sophomore in college, my pastor told me that he wanted me to head up the TV ministry one day. And as a 19-year-old, I was very much intimidated, but I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing when we got there. I wanted to make sure that I represented God in the ministry the proper way. And so I took up the production classes along with my journalism classes. And so that's how I got started.
Wow, that's awesome. And so yeah, so similar backgrounds, and so great. And so I'm quite sure when you started that, man, that was a lot of fear, and so you had to get grounded in some things that you begin to see that you had the capacity to do that because why you were educated, you had skill sets, you know. So what are the driving forces that help you build your business when you talk about that? Once you took that initial step to step out, and I think sometimes that's the hardest step to do to make is to step out and have enough confidence and in yourself to do that. So, can you talk about the driving forces behind what's helping you build your business and talk about that a little bit?
Okay. Well, first, I'm going to step back for just a second. You mentioned how you came to MediaCom and you had met and spoke with one of my supervisors who you had been asking, hey, will you come to my church? All I need for you to do is show my people how to work the TV ministry, how to get it started. And he kept saying, no, 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 that's not what I do. I'm not interested. So one day I was at home, still working at MediaCom at the time. I was at home and I was praying, and it was my off day. And God told me to start a business. And I said, God, I don't have anything. I don't have a camera. I don't have editing equipment, lighting. I had nothing. And God
Nothing
said,
wrong.
start with what you have. I said, Lord, the only thing I have is what I know. God said, start with what you have.
No.
And I said, okay, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to step out on faith. And I'm going to start teaching churches how to start their TV ministry.
Wow.
So to cut the next day, I'm all excited. I go to the job and I tell my supervisor, hey, God told me to start a business. So I'm gonna start a business. And he said, really? He said, I'm gonna start a business too. And so I said, okay. He said, well, what is your business going to be? I said, I'm going to start teaching churches how to start their TV ministry. He said, that's not a really good business idea to go into. So I said, well, that's what God told me to do, and that's what I'm going to do. So later that day, I had a conversation with one of my mentors.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, God told me to start a business. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to start teaching churches how to start their TV ministry. He said, that's a good business to go into. He said, churches have a TV ministry, the ones that can afford it. And if that's the case, they already know what to do. He said, so that's really not a good business. I said, that's what God told me to do. And that's what I'm going to do. The very next day, after having both of those conversations, you reached out to my supervisor again. And you said, man, listen, I just need someone to come teach my people. And then it clicked in his head. He said, you know, I just spoke to someone who said they're going to start a business doing exactly the same thing that you're asking me to do. He said, I'm not a teacher, but I will put you in contact with her. And so you were my very first client. So I just want to thank you for the blessing that you have been, because it was through your account that I was able to purchase some of the initial equipment that I needed, software, computers, and things of that sort to get started in my business. So
wow.
If I had to say what the barriers were when I first got started, it was first overcoming the mindset of, can I really do this? Should I really do this? But then when I had the confirmation from God, I just, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And not only that, I had clients that God was speaking to my clients, and I would show up to do my little pre-production meeting or during production, and they're telling me, I had two of them that prophesied to me. God said, you're supposed to be in business. God said, you're supposed to have your own production company. And one of them wasn't even in the church, but he knew God. And he was like, God, and he came to me at least twice. And so even when I started the business, teaching churches how to start their TV ministries, offering editing for churches as they're getting started, offering editing services until their staff is ready to take over the television ministry and the editing part. I remember telling God, before I step out in business full time, I want to be able to work for an agency, because I felt like an agency was the way that clients had an overall customer care experience. So whether it's videography, photography, whatever it is that the client need, agency could provide it. Now, granted, the company that I was working for at the time had the means to help clients, but they were like, hey, that's not what we do. We're not doing that. Right, and I was trying to convey to them, if you offer these additional services, you can keep your clients longer. They didn't want to hear it. So I told God, I said, Lord, I need to get some more education as it relates to the business side. Because I was so used to being an employee, but I had only been a manager once. And so I went back to school, got a master's degree in entertainment business. And after I finished school, I said, okay, I'm ready to step out full time. The only thing I'm lacking is working for an agency, because I wanted to learn how the
Right.
inner workings of that agency to be able to offer that holistic experience that my clients needed. So, long story short, there was a company. I had been reaching out to them since I was a freshman in college. Every year, I would go in and put in applications at all of the TV stations as well as the newspaper. And nobody called me back. But every year, the receptionist knew me by name. Every year, I would go in and put in these applications, just knowing that God was going to move one day. So, I had an opportunity one day. I was at work and I got a phone call. Mind you, I had stopped putting in applications everywhere because I was working at that time, my dream job. I was a TV producer. I was writing, shooting, directing commercials. I was
Wow.
doing TV shows for Mediacom and for Comcast Cable. And so I was working my dream job, but they did not want to move me up in the company. Not that I wasn't, and I was the most educated in the place. I had more education than my supervisor. And when when he realized that, that's when our relationship changed. So I was at work one evening about 6 o'clock, because I was the first one there and the last one to leave a lot of times. And
Wow.
so I got a phone call from a company who found my application, my not my application, my resume on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And they said, hey, we want to recommend you for work a job working with the paper. And I was like, I hadn't applied. And they said, we found you on LinkedIn. We love your qualifications. And so I said, okay, well, let's do the interview. Went in, did the interview, and they were switching from the traditional newspaper model to an agency model.
Come
And
on.
I was like, Lord, this is the last piece that I needed before I went into business full time for myself. And so I
Wow.
went in, worked that job for about a year, and I left there, went into full time working for myself. And God He's been faithful ever since.
Been faithful ever since. Let's take another little commercial break, and we're going to talk about the full service commercial that you offer. And you can talk a little bit when we come back. We'll talk a little bit about the services that you offer, because this is great. So, wow,
Princess
we'll be
Creative
right back.
Productions is a full service creative agency. We offer over 20 different services in video production, photography, graphic design, websites, marketing, live audio production, and more. Our knowledgeable staff can take your idea from concept to reality. Need help taking your business to the next level? Contact Princess Creative Productions today at 251-378-8044 or visit us online at princesscreativeproductions.com.
Wow. So that full service. So let's talk a little bit about the full service. We got a couple of overlays that we can just pull up and talk about the full service that you offer. That way, the clients can get a better feel of what you are doing and how you are doing it. And so we got a few. Let's put up a few of these first, and then we'll begin to let the clients see some of the stuff that you've done already, and then you can kind of talk about them a little bit as I go through a few of them. Can you talk about this one?
Sure. Okay, so I offer photography. The first photo was actually from a birthday shoot that I did. The second one was a headshot for a real estate company. And then the other one was a headshot for a young lady who has a business that she's starting to promote, which is an insurance adjusting business. So, one of the things that, again, I talked about offering that full service, being able to to offer my clients everything that they need.
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that the services that I offer, which all falls under videos, photography, graphic design, websites, social media, and audio, all of the services that I offer falls under those four, 5 or 6 categories. And
Wow.
so, if I have a video camera and someone says, "Hey, can you shoot a dance recital?" I don't normally turn those down. Um, because that's something that I could pretty much get done at a quick pace. So I want it to be a one-stop shop, as they used to say in the old school marketing terms. I want it to be a one-stop shop for my clients. So when they come in, they may come in and say, "Hey, I need a video done." But then when they see, "Oh, you can make banners for me. Oh, you
Right.
can also help me with marketing. You can create a logo for me, or you can do my headshots, or come into my business and do shots at the business and of my employees." That's, all falls under that one-stop shop holistic experience that, I wanted to offer for my clients. And so my main thing was being able to help mom and pops and young entrepreneurs who don't have the budget to be able to go to a creative agency and say,
Wow.
"Hey, I want a commercial." If you go to a creative agency, you may be paying anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 for a 30-second commercial because of the type of equipment that they offer. But
Yeah.
what I've done, because of my experience as a TV producer, I have learned how to use high-end equipment and mid-grade equipment. So I use mid-grade equipment to keep my prices low. So you can come in and get a on-location shoot as low as $450, or you can get a green screen shoot as low as $250. So I just try to make sure that whatever I do is professional, it's affordable, and it meets the needs of my clients.
Yeah. I'm gonna put up another overlay. And this is one of your clients here, Miss Linda, and I've met her too, and I've talked to her several times. Just and here you are, audiobook, updating a paperback, and this is some of the work that you've done for her, and it's excellent. Can you talk about that a little bit as well?
Okay, so Miss Linda, let me say, a lot of people haven't heard of Princess Creative Productions, but if you're in, especially in my city, the clients that I work for, you've heard of them, and you may have seen or heard my work and just didn't know that it was me. So Miss
Wow.
Linda was actually attending a virtual class on how to become a speaker, and one of my clients was attending the class, and one of their assignments was they had to have a speaker website. And so my client came to me, "Hey, I need a website. Can you do it for me?" I did the website. She presented it to her class, and Miss Linda was in that class, and she's actually out of Tennessee. I'm in Alabama. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. So
Wow.
she reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you do a website for me for my class?" And I said, "Yes." So I did the speaker website. And then she re released one of her books with an audio version. And she
Wow.
reached out to me again because of the good experience she had with me the first time, and said, "Hey, can you also do this a website promoting my book?" And I said, "Of course I can." So then she also said, "Hey, if I shoot my own videos, since I'm in Tennessee, you're in Alabama, can I shoot those videos to you somehow and you edit them and make them look really nice for me to go on that website?" I said, "Of course I can." Then after me again, "Hey, I need a speaker sheet. Can you do a speaker sheet for me?" "Of course I can." So, usually I don't advertise. So what happens is, if I have one client that comes in, they have a great experience, they realize I could do pretty much everything that they need. When they put out to their friends, the things that I produce for them, then they in turn, come to me as well. And that's how my clientele continues to grow.
Wow. So let's get into, oh man, some great stuff. And so let's get into another question, our third question. What advice would you give to someone wanting to start their own business?
Okay, first I would ask them, uh, is this a calling? Because a lot of people don't realize entrepreneurship is a calling. Starting
Mhm.
a business is a calling. And if you don't have that calling, you just have a desire, but not the calling, that business may not be as successful as it can be. And what I mean by that is, there are times that I come home from working a 9 to 5, come home, and I may have to hop back on the computer and work, again to 12 or 1 because I'm trying to meet a deadline. There are times where, I may have to open up on a Saturday. because I am trying to create a positive experience for every customer that walks through the door. And so, as it relates to starting a business, you have to make sure that that's something you're willing to do. A business is like a baby. you know when you have a baby, you don't just say, okay, I got a business, and you set it somewhere and let it do what it wants to do. You have
Right.
to work that business. You have to develop processes for that business. You have to create whatever it is that you're trying to create to make sure that that business can grow. And so you may have to attend some seminars. You may have to attend some conferences. You may have to watch some inspirational videos from people who are at a level that you desire to be. But it's sacrifice in
Right.
having a business. And a lot of times people think, okay, a business, great, I'm gonna do that, but then they're not willing to put the work in on the back end.
Wow. And that's where you talk about that calling. Define that calling just a little bit, because I think that's a term that we use in the church, but in the world, sometimes I call it my swag, having that desire. That's, you can have a want to, but a calling and a desire are totally two different things. Just define that calling a little bit to people that are
Okay.
wanting to get out and accomplish something in life.
Okay. The Bible says that gifts and callings are without repentance. So when God releases you from eternity until this realm, you have a calling attached to your life. You have a purpose that He has given you. And so when you realize that that purpose, whether it's ministry, whether it's opening a business, when you realize what it is, that drives you. I think you can probably attest to this. There are times that God may wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, to put something on your mind or in your heart about something that needs to be done concerning the ministry, or He's giving you a word. It's similar to that with when it comes to business. There are times that I may lay down and I say, oh, I need to make sure I do this, this, and this. And then I have either I'm going to get up out the bed and get it done, or get up early in the morning to make sure that it gets done before the doors open. So, I mean, having a calling is like a passion. It drives you. And, it's something that I look at this business as something that I have given back to God. So everything that I
Wow.
do with it, I try to make sure that I'm honoring God with it. So same thing as it relates to being a minister or a pastor. I have people that come in all day long. I have a list of over 200 clients from Ohio all the way down to Alabama. And so, I have to make sure that how I'm governing this business, because I'm
Right.
touching lives. I'm helping livelihoods here. And so I
Wow.
can't just say, oh, I have a business, and then I treat your account as if it's nothing. Everything
Yeah.
that I do, I try to make sure that it honors God. And so, having
Wow.
that passion, having that drive, it's something that you have to pray about. God, is this for me? Should I do
Yeah.
this? And a lot of
Yeah.
times, some people, they shy away. If God say, hey, I want you to be a pastor, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to go over here and be an usher. And so
It's easier.
it's easier, but then they realize that they're not really being fulfilled. It's
Right.
like if you're working on a job. I'll never forget. I was in college, in undergrad, and I was working for a company, and I had grown to hate going to that place, to the point I would clock in and go to the bathroom and almost be in tears. I'm like, God, how long do I have to be here? But you have to realize that your true fulfillment, your true place of happiness, your true wealthy place is
Yeah.
inside the will of God. So first you have to seek God. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom and His
Right.
righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. You got to seek the kingdom to see what you're supposed to do on this side of the kingdom.
Wow. Great. Let's go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back with our last question, and then we'll close out. Man, great stuff. Man, I'm enjoying this. God bless you. Thank you for
Princess
joining.
Creative Productions is a full-service creative agency. We offer over 20 different services in video production, photography, graphic design, websites, marketing, live audio production, and more. Our knowledgeable staff can take your idea from concept to reality. Need help taking your business to the next level? Contact Princess Creative Productions today at 251-378-8044 or visit us online at princesscreativeproductions.com.
Wow. Just some more great information. And so the last question, what makes your business unique and how has that helped you and help? And like you said, you talked about the benefit of helping others, but that uniqueness about Prince's creative production.
I will have to say affordability, professionalism. Um, I have a huge background in customer service. I've worked in several capacities in customer service in high school and in college. And so that's a passion of mine. When you go to a place of business, you want to be treated a certain way. When you come through the doors of Princess Creative Productions, immediately is something different about it. And that's the way that I have designed the layout. Um, that is the amount of services that I offer here. And most people think, okay, when they come through the doors, it's not a huge staff. How professional could this be? Or, how good is the products or the services are going to be here? And I try to make sure that I exceed their expectations, which is why my tagline is at Princess Creative Productions, we treat you like royalty.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Treating people like royalty, and I just want to talk about your skill set for us. Dealing with consumers, or from that personal, like you say, that personal touch that makes people feel comfortable and make them want to just come back because why you have that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of your calling and your gifting, that you're gifted with that ability to relate to people, to read people and just kind of, let them make their quality decision by just offering and leading them in conversation. I mean, you're gifted in that area. I mean, I see it and I understand what you're saying concerning that, which is what God has gifted us. And yeah, that expertise in that area is just awesome because I've seen you, down through the last 15 years, and yeah, you really understand. You understand the consumer, and you understand the entrepreneurial mindset and the thing that God is calling you to do. You have a great understanding of that. I'm so, man, it's just awesome to be on set with you today. And so one thing we want to say, I put up the information about you. Let me put it back up so people can reach out and contact you, Princess Miller Production. And you see the information at the bottom. And just one thing, I just want you, before we close out, just what would you, just last thoughts and that you would give to somebody, a young person like you were, say, years ago starting out, just give them some inspiration and talk from that point.
Okay, awesome. I talked about, praying, having a relationship with God to know the voice of God, so that if this is the area that you're called to, then the next thing you're supposed to do is pray and study. Study what the Bible has to say about business. Study what other people who are in the areas that you desire to be are doing. When I was in grad school, the two people that I looked up to was Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey. Why? Because they did something that nobody else was doing. That other people were saying, well, they told Tyler, you can't write and be in it and direct it and produce it. You can't wear all of those hats. Um, Oprah, when she started out in radio and then went to TV. She was a reporter and then became an anchor. And from there, the door opened for her to start her own TV show. So I followed their journeys. I read about them, and I listened to YouTube videos of people who are going the place that I desire to be. And then I just kept working the pace that I was in. I never tried to step out and say, hey, my very first office was a 8,000 square foot building, but I was in a small little office space in the back. It wasn't the best setting. It wasn't the best neighborhood, but I stepped out on faith and opened that first office. And it made people believe that I was serious about what I was doing. And so I have clients that have been with me since day one, since I first
Wow.
got started. So, stay with it,
Stay
study,
with it. Yeah.
constantly evaluate what you're doing and see how you can make yourself better.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Princess. Great interview. Great interview. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's just awesome. And so, Princess Creative Production. You have the information at the bottom of your screen. If you need our services, reach out to it. And we thank you for this interview. And God bless you. Until next time, take care.
Princess Creative Productions is a full-service creative agency. Our award-winning director-producer work has been featured on Comcast, Mediacom, Charter Cable, and CNN. We can take your vision from concept to TV or have your commercial featured on top social media and streaming platforms. Need a commercial or video for your business? Contact Princess Creative Productions today at 251-378-8044 or visit us online at princesscreativeproductions.com.